Director Lynch, thank you for being here today, and we'd, if you don't mind, if you'd introduce yourself and also your staff and associates, and after that, the question being, can you operate within the mayor's proposed budget, which then you have the floor.
Thank you, Councilman Pridemore. Yes, sir, I am Tommy Lynch, Director of Parks and Recreation. I'm certainly glad to be here tonight. With me up here in the front, on my left, is Monique Odom, the Assistant Director in charge of Finance and Administration, and Tim Nates, Assistant Director in charge of Planning and Facility Development. In the back are some very special people that have come with us this evening. I'll start with the Assistant Directors of the department, Ms. Sally Davis from Recreation, Shane Dennison from Greenways and Open Space, Jim Hester with Natural Resources, Cultural and Historical, John Holmes, Revenue Producing Facilities, and Jerry Trafinko is here tonight from Consolidated Maintenance, taking the place of Mike Bays, who retired this past Friday, and Captain Chris Taylor, who oversees our park police. Along with that, we have several board members today. We have George Anderson, Chairman of the Park Board, Stan Fossick, as well as Jen Garcia. And I don't know. Oh, I see. And I saved the best for last because certain particular council people always are concerned about the staff in our office. With me as well is my assistant, Janet Frazier.
Welcome.
Yes, sir, we can operate within the budget that's being presented to the council. And we have been able to operate within the budgets the past several years. This past fiscal year has been a year where we have worked diligently to complete planned facilities in order to meet stated goals. A year where we have continued to acquire park property where it makes sense to preserve and protect our resources, as we have done with the recent announcement pertaining to the Southeast Davidson County. And a year where we have continued to address strategic issues where we develop best practices to ensure our facilities are relevant to today's needs. We as the department stress the delivery of perfect customer service, increased partnership opportunities, and trying to maximize revenue collection wherever possible. This past year was a year filled with accomplishments. New regional facilities opened at Southeast and Sevier Parks, as well as the Two Rivers and Pitts Park dog parks, and not to mention the miles of mountain bike trails opening at Bells Bend and Warner. The new fitness center at the Centennial Sportsplex is also in its first full year of operation. We continue to grow numbers at most of our community centers, reaching up to 3,000 persons per week during the summer with our summer enrichment program, and a similar number in our daily after-school program for youth. We offer quality programming at these facilities. We will be adding new facilities in the next few months. Some as part of master plans, updating our older parks like Centennial and Shelby, while others are creating new space adjacent to parks, such as the new Greenway, Amphitheater, Botanical Gardens, Arboretum and Tree Trail, and Dog Park being added to Riverfront Park. All of which we are partnering with groups as an operating partnership, which will come to the council shortly for sponsorship approvals. At the same time that we're opening the part on the West Bank, we will be opening the landing across the river in Cumberland Park. It's under construction and will be open by the end of the summer. Nashville is indeed jumping into the mix as a river city, and parks is being part of that more than any other time in recent history. Our emphasis for these new spaces include the resounding additions for music performance venues. The 6,500 seat Ascend Amphitheater in Riverfront Park will be operated by Live Nation and will provide further proof that Nashville is Music City and a destination for major stars to perform. While the addition in Centennial Park offers a showcase for up-and-coming musicians to be introduced to Nashville's music scene. Both park additions move us closer to being the most environmentally responsible city in the South, with LEED certified facilities downtown and with water quality projects that were part of the Cockrell Spring as well as Lake Watauga and Centennial Park. From an historical standpoint, Metro Parks participated in the acquisition of Kellytown, the 6.72-acre Native American settlement from the early 1400s near the Little Harpeth River in southern Davidson County. We added over 5 miles to our parks greenway system last year and have projects lined up for the Harpeth River, Mill Creek, Whites Creek, Stones River, Cumberland River, downtown, as well as the greenway in the Gulch. As big things have happened, bigger and better opportunities are just around the corner. Next year will be significant for the future of park operations. I feel I would not be doing my job if I gave you an inaccurate picture of our situation. It has been a wonderful opportunity to participate in the new design of our department, and I agree that we need to continue with improvements. New modern facilities planned for areas that have been underserved, such as the new community center plan for Antioch and the refurbishment and the new center that's going to be added at Madison Park. New and additional connections are made throughout our expansion of our greenway system, which is up to 80 miles, primarily due to the 50 miles that have been created during this past administration. Great additions, great programs, and great parks. Our budget, as presented by the mayor, reflects all of this. We have additional administrative staff to assist in payroll and finance, which have not increased in recent memory. We have received additional maintenance positions to better serve the expanding acreage and expanding interior space we have added with the new facilities. Health concerns created in our locker rooms, pools, and fitness centers present the necessity to improve our custodial service, which will be met in the upcoming fiscal year as well. We are initiating an update of our Parks and Greenways Master Plan presently. We have an RFP ready to be sent to purchasing, and it will be coming out shortly. It is my hope that this update will recommend the assessment of other older facilities and parks so that they may operate based on present needs rather than old usage patterns. Fort Negley, when it was transformed into a ballpark for a professional baseball team, it enhanced our city and what we offered to visitors and residents. Repurposing of that property can now be just as exciting and advantageous to the landscape of the city. We need to take a look at other types of facilities in the same way, and I think the master plan will help us do so. Would some of our existing parks better serve today's population if a new purpose meeting our future and present needs were found? In summation, we appreciate the operational help to maintain the facilities and as well as improving the stewardship with regard to existing land, programs, and facilities. And the recommended budget does that. I will close with a simple statement. Parks Department and all of its acreage located throughout the city, including its programs and facilities, in my view, is still the best bargain for taxpayers. And I'm ready for any questions you may have.
I'll open the floor up to council members for questions. Councilman Tigert.
Thank you and welcome, Tommy. This may be for you or maybe Monique. What's the difference between the GSD general fund revenues and the special purpose funds?
The special purpose funds are largely grants and any kind of special revenue programs that operate from there. And the general fund revenues are our revenue producing facilities.
That's golf and swimming and weight,
country,
all that. So a drop in the special purpose funds of $400,000, any one thing in particular there? Is that just general cutbacks across the board in federal, state, and nonprofit foundations, et cetera?
It's primarily a reduction of grant revenue. As grants, particularly grants that are multi-year grants, as we move forward with those, we budget the balance of those. So it's just a reduction.
So what are some examples of programs that were run from those special purpose funds that may be cut back or going away based on grants ending?
Well, in particular, the Warner Trails program, that's the main one. It's not a program, but it's a project, and it's, I think the value was $1.3 million or $1.2 million, and it is a reduction in there. We had a Riverside Trail Connector grant.
So it's more
that
capital
ended.
projects and not
Absolutely. Yeah,
programs?
not programmatic.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, good. Tommy, the revision of the master plan, the old plan for years had the concept of a youth sports facility that we've talked about, and as a tourism, as a mechanism to drive families to Nashville, whether it be indoor or outdoor type facilities. Would you expect that the new master plan would still address that need?
Yeah, Charlie, that is still on the it's a project that's on our radar. We've in actuality, we've been approached by one of the citizens in a business community to participate in a feasibility plan to look at that very item as well. So that still is on our radar. It's I think it's something that I would think is very important. It would be an economic driver, and it would be something that would bring people into Nashville, along with everything else that's being done to bring people into
Absolutely,
Nashville.
and it brings families in.
And would be great in the area that we're looking at.
Okay, and one final question, then an editorial comment, Mr. Chair. The question, you all adopted some rules and regulations about advertising and this type thing.
Well, that's I sort of alluded to part of it in my presentation from the sponsorship legislation that we got through council and we got approved by the park board. We're doing this at some of the ball fields this year. We're also, one of the big things that we're doing now presently, and we're bringing to you in the next month or so, once we get one more approved by the park board, is the sponsorship related to the park downtown. We're working with Cheekwood on a program where they'll provide up to $15,000 worth of labor and material on a yearly basis to help maintain the botanical gardens that'll be part of the Riverfront Park on the new park. And we're working with the Tree Foundation, who had put $150,000 of trees into the new park, and also are setting money aside for a continual upkeep of the trees for that park. One of the things that we're doing as well that I didn't mention is a board item that'll be coming to the board the next month. Much like the Library Foundation, we're beginning to look into, in fact, we're looking into seriously and going through the formulating process to come to the park board to start a Parks Foundation as well.
That is great news. Final editorial comment might be unusual. Number one, you clean up a lot better than your brother.
I try to stay on the opposite side of my brother.
Absolutely. And you mentioned our good friend, Ms. Frazier there, who has kept you and previous directors out of trouble for many, many years. She's still 39 and working as hard. I know you gave her special permission last week to come in early to get her hours in so she could go watch her favorite baseball team.
Vanderbilt we're talking about.
We're talking about Vanderbilt, and the reason I'm saying that, I've got a gift for her that's a poster commemorating the national championship. She'll have to put it on some kind of disclosure form or whatever, but I'm just publicly acknowledging if you will deliver this to her, maybe it will bring us good luck.
I'll be sure to.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Primore. Thank you, Tommy Lynch. Thank you to the board members, all of the staff of Parks. Everyone in this city absolutely loves Metro Parks and Recreation. I just want you all to know that, and we appreciate you. One of the concerns, looking at your budget and your strategic issues, is the expansion of green space. I know we've been acquiring a lot of green space, and there's a demand for you to acquire even more. And the concern is that you have the appropriate funding so that you can be able to maintain that, like, grass cutting and things of that sort. Do you feel you have the necessary funding and support needed to be able to meet those challenges?
The present budget that you'll be voting on is addressing the issues in a very positive fashion as we move to take care of what we have now. Now, the acquisition of the properties that we have been acquiring over the past couple of years, they're still being land banked, but because they need to be, and that would be also something that would be addressed in our master plan to kind of look at what needs to be added out on those properties, and then as we move forward to developing those properties, there would be a subsequent request for the capital to develop the properties that we're purchasing, as well as operational budget going on down the line after they get developed. So the budget this year, and I can't say enough, it has really taken a great step in the right direction to address our present maintenance issues. As we acquire, as we're acquiring property, we're really not developing it yet. Mm-hmm. That'll be something the master plan will address, and that'll be something on down the line that we'll have to get operating budget for.
Well, we want you to have all of the support needed to be successful, because we don't want people out there changing their mind in terms of what they feel our Metro Parks offers. I mean, we've had people who said, well, I don't want a greenway, or I don't want a park in my area because Metro doesn't cut the grass and things of that sort. We don't want all of the positive momentum and the energy that people have expressed to go the opposite direction.
Well, and one of the things, and I've been up here in the past, and I've talked about us going to this 28-day mowing schedule, which we had done, and I kind of inferred that if someone lived next to you and they didn't cut their yard but once every month, well, that mowing schedule, now it won't, this summer, obviously it won't be impacted because we're still in this present budget. But next year, it should be different. It should be something that we improve upon, and it's something that the administration has added in additional funds for maintenance so that we can do a better job of taking care of what we have now.
Well, you do an outstanding job with what you have, and kudos to everyone in Parks for the incredible work that you do each and every day to serve the citizens of our city. You have the least amount of funding amongst all of the different departments in our budget, but you do the most work and you're in the most demand. So whatever it is that we can do as a council to support you, to ensure the success of all of our parks and programs, know that we stand ready to do that.
Well, when you say you, I'm sure you're using you in the plural, because I couldn't sit up here and talk to any of you without telling you that it's the people that work for us that are the foundation, and they are the people that do so much with so little. And whether they're in community centers or they're in the nature centers, or they're in the history centers, or the revenue producing centers, these people want to be doing that job, and they are doing it from the standpoint that they love it. And I think, speaking for everybody up here and the people on the board, the only remote thing that we presented that might have been a wish for the next fiscal year is something in relation to where I started as a seasonal worker. I won't tell you, back in 1967. And I think whether it comes through the Career Advancement Center, or whether it comes through the school board, or whether it comes through the Parks Department, I really feel strong that employing high school youth in the summer and getting this first job experience, and then also getting the experience of having a job rather than having a lot of free time would be advantageous. And I think at some point in time, that would be a goal for the Parks Department to increase that.
Councilman Pardue.
Mr. Lynch, I just didn't want to feel out of place. I do want to let you know that back when I was a kid, I lived in a district that had a park. And it was just so nice how y'all kept the grass cut and played ball and stuff. And I wanted to ask if in your master plan, is this plan ever going to come north?
Well, we've been in discussion with the city of Goodlettsville about property that's in Davidson County. And the park board accepted it, and Mr. Tim Ellis, we sent us a MOU saying that we would get the property if we developed it in a certain amount of time, I think 36 months. That, the thing would be for the master plan would be that parks would be brought into all neighborhoods and all areas. One of the things, I don't know if you saw, it was announced this past week about the park score that's done by the Trust for Public Land, and it's sort of, we ranked 51st out of 75 of the major cities in the country, and it was more of an indication of the importance of the master plan and the open space plan, because they were developed because we didn't have parks everywhere. Where we have parks and where we have greenways, we have satisfied people, and we may have great parks. Like in your situation, having grown up in the parks, you know the benefit of it, and those of us that are in the department know the benefit of it as well. It just, we feel, and I think the master plan that'll be updated, is you just don't expand. You also have to look at the existing parks and make sure you're making the best use of that property and those facilities as well. So without making a promise that we would get into certain districts, but that would be the plan, that it expand throughout the county and get either a park or a greenway or something park related within a half a mile of every home.
We appreciate it.
Councilman Tigard.
Tommy, I meant to ask in my first round, the success of the $25,000 school garden grant program that you all administer, and we're beginning to see some of the results, the finished product at Granbury School and Harpeth Valley Elementary and other places.
I received some pictures just in the past week about the improved spaces that were done through the through the parks administering that grant, and I do believe everybody that participated in the grant has received payment. Their payment.
Yes.
So we're on top of that. That's a great program, and again, sustainability. It's a great factor from that standpoint, and it's a great practice for people to be participating.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to fill out the request because based on the calls that I've been getting, people that know that I've been involved in this, there's a huge pent-up demand and need at a lot of different schools and locations for this, so I'm hoping we can slightly increase that grant, maybe double it this year to $50,000, and help these schools get their program off the ground, teaching kids where food comes from and the importance of healthy lifestyles and eating habits. So Jim Hester's done a good job on that, and doubling his workload should not be a problem. Thank you.
Director Lynch, to prove to you that I was paying attention to your opening remarks, you mentioned the word refurbishing Community Center, along with you didn't mention construction. Is there anything I need to worry about?
I used the incorrect word.
Okay.
We're going to be creating a new center in a different spot in the park. And just for the people in that area, we intend to keep operating the one that we have while we build the other one.
And we're very appreciative. They've been waiting a long time for it.
Yes, sir. It is one of our older facilities.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other members in the queue, that concludes your presentation. We certainly appreciate you and your staff and all your supportive guests and staff members for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bradwell.